And we are live for another Wednesday Night Wrestling Inc. podcast. It is the last of 2020 as we get rid of this year. It is December 30th. And all the feels were felt tonight. That I can promise you. If not, then I would check your pulse. I'm Justin LaBar, being joined, as always, by Mr. Matt Morgan and Alfred Konuwa. Gentlemen, Matt, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Alfred?
Doing great, man. As good as I could be, but given the circumstances, but doing fine.
Yeah, an emotional night, as it's been on Wrestling Inc., and I'm sure it has been talked about by everybody since last weekend's shocking news. Brodie Lee, AEW star, formerly Luke Harper in WWE, sudden passing at age 41. Just a sad story all around. So tonight was going to be the first of two big premium show nights built around the new year by AEW, but they, doing a very classy thing, decided to bump that, and they scrapped all the booking plans that were in place, or at least it seems so, and they made this all about a Brodie Lee tribute show, which will run down. NXT also had a show tonight leading into their big New Year's Evil, which is next week. I got to say it, Alfred, man, I'm sure you guys got to agree. I felt bad for NXT because it's like, they still got to put on a product. Obviously, there's just so much attention on AEW, and from a personal standpoint, I'm sure many of the NXT locker room would have liked to maybe watch this program and reflect on their colleague, Brodie, but of course they still got to do their job. So a really weird situation tonight.
You hit it on the head. Yeah,
absolutely. It was just so hard to concentrate because, I cover NXT, then you do AEW for these shows, and I, did obviously watch it, but it was just so hard to concentrate on NXT and just have that on my mind, knowing what was on the other show and just knowing what was in the air and all that stuff. So very rough night for NXT to be on television, really.
We will touch on NXT. I'll be honest, guys. The audience probably knows this. NXT is going to be a brief touch on tonight. We kind of all we know that this is going to be just AEW focused in the Brodie Lee situation. So we'll touch on NXT, but give it a break that we don't go deep and thorough into it. There's another time, another day for it. All right, so let's kick it off here with AEW. Now they start out the program with the entire locker room on the stage. Front and center is Brodie's wife Amanda and his two young kids. Brodie Lee Jr. was a big part of tonight's show. He's wearing a Dark Order mask. They do the 10-bell salute. Again, very emotional as we look at the faces of all the guys and girls up on the stage. 10-bell salute. Then we go to into a taped message from John Moxley. We saw a lot of these. Moxley, just a great way with words, talks about how Brodie brought joy to people around the world. Brodie loves being a dad. Wrestling was just a job. And just talks about every day is a gift, every day is special, and every day I got to spend with Brodie was the most special. He says, "I love you, Brodie, and I'll never forget you." A powerful opening here, Matt.
It was. It definitely was. For me, it's more emotional because the family was present. That's really shitty, and that's tough to imagine what they're going through. You know what I mean? Like what's going on in their heads right now. As this is all happening. To be clear, I'm sure they're appreciative, but you know what I mean? Still, at the end of the day, those two boys' dad ain't coming back, man. That fucking sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, it was really John Moxley was so perfect in this role, and he does have a way with words, and just after hearing all the things you've heard about Brodie and just all the beautiful stories really the past few days you've heard about Brodie, he did reference the fact that there's really nothing else to be said, or at least he said that, but then there was. I mean, things I heard tonight from other people, from what I heard from John Moxley, I thought was just a brilliant tribute to Brodie Lee. So this really, I thought, set a very good tone for what was a somber show, but a tribute show, and Moxley did that perfectly.
He did, and like Matt said, you see the family. We don't always, when we get the wrestlers pass and such, we don't always see the wives or the kids. And when you see them, when you see emotion on the face and having to be strong to be present for the show, and like we said, appreciative but still tough. Right. It adds. We talk about this wrestler's gone. We talk about the wrestler, but then when you see the family, this was a very emotional start. I haven't seen him in years, but I talked about this earlier. Don't want to hash into it. The first biggest match I ever got to do working in pro wrestling was with Brodie Lee, and he is. I did not know him nearly as well as any of these people. He was such a great person. So just to hear the depth of how he touched these people, as we'll continue to hear from other testimonials, was just very, very again, hard-hitting stuff. Some super chats we always appreciate. Bigfoot Sneakerhead 499, emotional AEW, great show. Thank you, Brodie Lee, RIP. Appreciated there. Disgruntled New York Jets fan Justin Lopez, $1.99. Wrestling isn't a sport; it's a community.
Love that.
Yes. $5 from JJ Smith. Brodie Lee's tribute shirt is the new all-time best-selling shirt of all time on PWTs. They tweeted out all proceeds go to the family. That's great news, and I'm not surprised because somewhere in the first hour of AEW Dynamite, I looked on social media and somebody had screen grabbed the fact that the link to that tribute shirt, that the link had crashed, the server had crashed because of the overload traffic. So that is great news there.
That is.
All right, so moving on here, again, everything tonight themed. All the matches, multi-man matches, all the matches involving somebody from the Dark Order, who are the baby faces tonight. No which way around this. And the first start off with Colt Cabana teaming with the Young Bucks up against Matt Hardy and Private Party. Cabana, very emotional, has known Brodie for a very long time. You can see it. Jericho's on commentary notes that you can see it in his eyes. But they don't, emotion aside, they don't hold back and giving us a great match. Colt Cabana with a beautiful moonsault to the outside. All kinds of good action here to watch. In the end, after some super kicks and then Colt hitting the Superman pin, Colt Cabana and the Young Bucks get the victory here. So a fun way to start out here with a lot of athletes in the ring.
It was a good match. Definitely a great match. Again, but I want to make one note. I don't ever want to hear from other wrestling companies, including WWE and any other company, Impact, you name it, that you cannot change your show. I don't want to hear it. Because what they did tonight was a very big move. There was lost revenue in this. Let me be very clear about that. Of what they had set up going into New Year's and going into their special and said, fuck it, this is a million times more important. We're going to do this instead. And they did it. Like, if there was ever a company that's starting off with the right foundation, it is AEW, guys. And I don't want to hear bullshit. Oh, man, you always put them over and praise them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But this is legitimate praise that they deserve. Because, again, they're a brand new company. That's all we hear, right? Others made mistakes they make all the time. They're rookies. They're greener than goose shit at producing. And these guys being VPs, they don't know what they're doing. They're so new, blah, 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 blah. Whereas what they did know, they knew to lead with their hearts. And that ain't a cliche. It's fact. And that is what transpired this entire show tonight. That's what emoted through this entire show, was that the wrestling business was thrown way on the fucking back burner where it should have been. And instead it was why wrestling can be fun, why we all became fans to begin with, and the good part of professional wrestling, which is, again, why most guys got into it to begin with. And AEW is a great example of it because they fucking love it. They didn't get into it to get rich. They got into it because they love it. And you could not miss that tonight. You just couldn't miss it.
Yeah, especially with like Colt Cabana. And in addition to being a tribute show, this was a fun wrestling show. This was a really good wrestling show. I mean, it was one 6-man tag match after another. And to be honest, it kind of reminded me of watching Chikara with their King of Trios, which is its own tribute or homage to Brodie Lee because he cut his teeth and kind of came into national prominence while with Chikara. So, in addition to being just a knockout, one hell of a tribute show, AEW has one hell of a 6-man tag division. And it was so good to see the Dark Order worked into that and using that to honor Brodie Lee. And I just really love this opening match. Was really, I thought, maybe was the best of the show, and really good heartfelt moment where I think Colt Cabana paid tribute to Brodie Lee while he was pinning in the pinning combination. They kind of sang to the camera. That was really cool.
Again, really quick, Justin, before we go to you, I was just wanting to underline, circle it, boldface this fact again. Okay, this sentence that again, professional wrestling shows can be done, can be completely rewritten with something completely different than what was originally intended, and they can do it. I don't want to hear that they don't have the means to do it, they don't have the intelligence to do it, they don't have the discipline to do it. Yes, they do. And this was great proof of it again tonight, because this was a major curveball thrown at all of them at AEW, because this was their boy. And so while being super emotional, while crying their eyes out, I'm sure, when they first heard all this, still to be able to get together and say, all right, we're going to tribute this guy. How are we going to do this? And we're going to change everything. Let's wipe our asses with what we were going to do with the original show plans. This is what we're doing. And they did it like that. So it can be done. I don't want to hear when we give excuses to some of these shows and say, well, you know what, they had to do this because it was a pre-tape show or because this was something they've had in the works now for 6 months. I don't care. It just goes to show you in the future, if something is not working, they can change the show on a dime if they really truly want to. When I say they, I'm really pointing more toward WWE, by the way.
Yeah, and Matt, to continue what you're saying, people have to keep in mind this is a company in AEW that's the television product's just over a year old.
Yes.
The actual formality of the company is about 2 years old. They don't have the 30, 40, 50 years equity that WWE has in. So each show, and as Matt talked about revenue, it is a little bit more crucial. And to give everybody an example, again, they're shifting their 2 week New Year's special. They're shifting it back by a week, and they did run through later in the night what we're going to see on those 2 nights. And one of the big things that they didn't mention, and I imagine that they might have lost it for the time being because of scheduling, is whatever they're building to with Shaq and Brandy and Jade Harbor. And so again, as Matt's talking about revenue, they ended up tossing aside again a major cross promotional angle, or so it seems, because they didn't mention it all the night in the promotion. So it seems, because they knew, okay, this is the more important thing. We need to do this right. We need to, to honor this guy's legacy, a guy who's universally liked by everybody. So
you know what that does for that whole roster, by the way?
Yeah.
That whole roster is going, God dang, we work in the best company in the world right now. You guys get this, right? I guarantee you they're all saying that to each other back there. Some of the veterans, like the coding company, I guarantee you are telling the young guys that. I
agree. A couple super chats here. Terrence Whitted, $5. Bittersweet how the Dark Order capped off both years.
Wow.
AEW. Yeah, it's funny. I was trying to find the appropriate way to say this. I didn't want to get too into the weeds of booking of like, okay, is the Dark Order now going to forever be baby faces or what have you? But I did think that the last Dynamite of 2019, you remember the headline about them was, we were watching one of them throwing punches, extras that were throwing punches that weren't even touching the guy. And Brodie hadn't joined the Dark Order. There's still a lot of unknown, like, okay, what's this Dark Order really going to be? Now, even prior to Brodie's passing, they had really started clicking.
Guys, let's be honest. It was garbage. Dark Order was the Dark Order, and they were god awful. Everyone was making fun of them. They were some of the biggest jokes in pro wrestling. I ate crow on that when they started to improve and get better. They're one of my favorite acts. All right. I call John Silver out first. I'll put that against anybody's podcast of calling John Silver a star waiting to happen. But anyways, the moral of the story is this, that they were garbage a year ago when they were capped out with terrible punches to Dustin Rhodes, and to where they've gotten to in 1 year. And a big part of that is absolutely Brodie Lee. And it's also some of them in that group, the John Silvers and company, that have stepped up, have improved, that have gotten better. Dude, that's an epic storyline arc of where they started, and where they are at now in 1 year.
Yeah, and we'll see.
Kudos to all of them in that group.
Absolutely. You mentioned John Silver. We'll get to him here in a little bit. He certainly shined. Jody Shauna Jenkins, Canadian $10. Matt, so much discussion about Brodie and his love of his family. I'm curious, do you think that there will be a shift with other workers and how they view family moving forward?
I think it's generational in a weird way. The guys that came in wrestling before me, right? It was, I hate to even say it, it was almost like a badge of honor for them to be like, I wish I could be with my family, but I can't. I need to be out on the road. I got to go chase that money. If I don't wrestle, I don't get paid. Well, I walked away from my biggest contract offer in my 13-year career when my son was born. So I would say my generation of wrestlers, I'm not the only one who would do that. Many guys, I think, I'm 44, so I'd say my generation guys, and younger, most certainly would put their families first in a heartbeat. Unless if they're like 20, I could see them trying to do both. I could see them trying to be, it's hard to be an amazing parent while you're away from your family. It just is. You're not present. You have to be part of the deal is you got to be present. Well, Matt, they're on the road making a lot of money for the family. They're the big earner. This is true. And that is another form of taking care of your family. To each their own. I don't think like this is all of a sudden going to spur how wrestlers think about being a family man. I think it will for the younger ones. I do. I think some of the young ones in the Dark Order, for example, that got close to Brodie, that saw what was important to him, will rub off. I know it's done, and I'm not saying to put myself over, but I know for a fact I've done this myself. when I retired early, countless younger wrestlers have reached out and come up with ideas on. I'm not over yet. I'm not at a situation like I'm an RVD or Chris Jericho where I can have my family tour with me, Matt. What do you suggest I do? Because I do not want to leave. I don't want to be away from my newborn, and things like that. So they are already thinking of it. And I would argue most of them are doing it. Guys, the Young Bucks, they're fucking amazing dads.
Right.
Amazing dads. So, I think there's a lot of them out there, and I think it's generational in a way.
And it also highlights the appeal of if you can be lucky enough to work for AEW, where you only have TV once a week, and you're not on the road doing live events and doing.
That's why I love TNA, and it took me so long to finally go away from them, and I was going back to WWE because that was a hard thing to pass up, to drive 20 minutes to Universal Studios. Shit.
It's also a wake-up call. I mean, some people who just adore Brodie to just be hit hard with such bad news, and part of Brodie's legacy was how much he loved his family. You heard it talked about throughout the show. So maybe just in honor of Brodie and because of how much they love them, they're going to rethink how they treat their family and be more of a dad first. There were so many great quotes about being a wrestler dad. And I don't think that it comes to light how many great wrestler dads there are out there, but that should be kind of a subcontext to pro wrestling. Who are the great wrestler dads out there? So hopefully that becomes a cool thing to do, and hopefully more people are able to cherish their families like that.
You touched on something. I still think we will get a union one of these days, guys. I know you think I'm nuts. I do think we'll get it. You touched on it. You just put this thought in my head, actually, Alfred, is that who's to say the AEWs of the world, the newer forward-thinking, owners and wrestling companies and wrestlers themselves, don't set it up where that is something that they take into account. Dixie Carter did that. Dixie Carter flew me and my wife to freaking Nashville, Tennessee, like 3 times to go see a specific doctor because we were having trouble having children. We're told we couldn't have kids. What owner does that? I wasn't the man in that company. I wasn't Sting or Kurt Angle, right? So, she did that for me. She'd do that for anybody. So I think AEW would be kind of like that, and I think they're going to be the type of company that's going to think about that when they're selling themselves to former WWE superstars or guys that are on the rise and about to go to WWE and saying, before you do that, you might want to think about this. We noticed that you're a dad. We noticed you have 2 to 3 children. We're going to pay you bank, but guess what? You're going to have the family freedom. I just made that up. Of being able to, we're going to have your family come into these shows and be with you. Like you see with Matt Hardy, Rebby Hardy all the time. We're going to make that a real thing. We're going to have your family come on the road with you when we do go on the road, because this is a big family setup that we have here at AEW. This is not some 3-ring circus in which you're the strong man and you come out, lift up a dumbbell, call it a day, and go back home. We're family here, and we want your family to be part of our family. That's a huge sales pitch. If I was still wrestling, I'd be like, I'm in. I am in. I'm coming.
Yeah. Well, and just to wrap this portion of the conversation up before we have a few more super chats, in terms of the selling point to wrestlers and coming into the business and what have you, WWE, obviously their live events, ended up getting suspended because of the pandemic. And referee Mike Chioda just talked about it recently on his podcast, how, WWE was already starting to move away from doing live events because they weren't making, it wasn't making sense other than the big European tours or the big MSG shows.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we might be moving, never mind, because of some of what we've just talked about here of being appealing to a family man and to a worker, we might be moving towards where, look, it is just TV and there's no more non-televised events except for the very special situations.
House shows were designed to sell merch with WWE. They were designed to sell merch, and to when wrestling was at its hottest, which it's not, but when it was at its hottest, to run multiple shows on the road. And WWE even having 2 simultaneous shows going on in different cities, right? Back in the 80s. That shit ain't happening now. So why put health risk at risk, for that matter, with these talents when they could be at home with their families? They could be recouping. If they're recouped, they're not going to get hurt. They're not going to get hurt. WWE, your bottom line is going to go up because you're going to have wrestlers that are not injured. That's a big deal.
Some super chats to get to here. Wrestling Enthusiast $1.99. WWE did a tribute show for Eddie and Chris. Yes, we remember. But going through here,
I'm 44, right, brother? Like, I don't know what you're saying with that.
Disgruntled Jets fan, Justin Lopez, not to jump ahead, guys, but Tony Khan just said the TNT title is retired. There will be a new TNT title created with new lineage. Yeah, that's how they cap off the show at the end. We'll touch more on that.
What?
So we'll get to the end of it.
Okay. Sorry.
We'll get to the end of the end of the show. One
we'll never get
acknowledgement.
through this. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm trying to hit the chats as they come in. You're good. I think we got two more. $5. Chris went. I was laughing and crying at the same time during the whole show tonight, and AEW never changed the channel. It reminded me why I love this. R.I.P. Brodie Lee. I think we could all agree to that. And Tim Mickles, $9.99. Thank you, Tim. Imagine how WWE superstars feel about the company now that they see how AEW conduct themselves during this. Yeah, I'll leave that up for a second. I hate to say that I wasn't surprised, and what does that say about WWE? I did not expect them to do the 10-bell salute because Brodie was working for a direct company. At a direct, I just didn't.
Okay, so regardless of which, those talents will go back and watch it in the DVR or whenever they watch AEW, right? The NXT talents. But let's be clear, SmackDown and Raw wrestlers watch AEW. Don't let them fool you. They most certainly do. All right. I mean, good Lord, I was watching Chikara when I was with TNA, and I believe the end of my WWE run. Everybody watches everything.
Matt, Dolph Ziggler tweeted earlier today. He was like, for the first time in a long time, I'm going to watch wrestling tonight.
Well, they watch it a lot more than that. And don't let these people fool you, act like they're too cool for school to watch other competition shows. But listen, the moral of the story is this. They're going to see how AEW did this. I'm telling you right now. And some of those acts are going to be like, wow, that's a new company that took a major risk tonight, that lost a shitload of money doing this. For a guy who's only been there for how long has Brodie been with AEW?
Since March. Yeah, since March.
Less than a year?
Yeah.
And that's how they treated this man? That's how close they got to this guy and how much he ended up meaning to them in such short time? That's a family. That ain't a wrestling company. I want to be part of that. And they pay me mega money because Tony Khan's rich. I'm going.
David Call $4.99 helps to almost have a non-profit owner in Tony Khan family greater than greed. R.I.P. Brodie cried a lot. Right. All right, so let's.
That was well said, by the way. That was very well said, by the way. Who just said that? Sorry. That
was David Call. So thank you, David, for the $4.99. All right, so picking back up, we get a Darby Allin testimonial. He talks about how he didn't know Brodie for long, only since Brodie had debuted. But as soon as he talked to him, he knew this is a no ego guy. No ego. This is not a guy who's here to take a spot. He's here to lift everyone up. And he immediately went and started telling others, this is a guy that I want to work. And of course, he never really did get to work him. So that's that. Up next, our next 6-man tag. It's the Butcher and the Blade with Eddie Kingston up against Evil Uno, Stu Grayson from Dark Order, and Lance Archer. Some things to note here. Lance Archer dressed like the old big rig Brodie Lee. Got the white tank top, the blue jeans, red bandana hanging out the back.
That was cool.
Eddie Kingston comes out. He cuts a quick promo. Eddie Kingston cuts a quick promo saying how he loves Brodie, but now that Brodie's not here with you guys are a bunch of jokes. Obviously, just trying to get a little heat on the match. And I want to say that I appreciated that too. There's nothing wrong with that. This was a tribute show, but like they still tried to and look, if you're smart enough, you figure it out. Okay, everybody, the Dark Order is going to win every match, but they still try to set some stakes up for each match, which I thought.
God forbid, it's still attempt to suspend a little bit of disbelief. And let me be clear to any hater that's going, oh, that was pretty stiff. No, it wasn't. I will promise you, because I know the guy, Brodie Lee would have loved that.
Yeah.
Would have loved
they did it in a
it.
classy way, too.
Good on you. Good on you. Go get it.
Yeah, and it's not like they were going out of their way to cut promos on Brodie Lee or anything like that. And even earlier in the night with the Acclaim, they showed up. They said, we got something to say about all this Dark Order stuff going on. And then they got cut off and beaten up by the baby faces. I had no problem with it. I thought it was just great.
No, that was good.
So from my opinion, this was the most this match, and then what leads into it was the most incredible sequence of television of pro wrestling that we saw tonight, and then you can put it up against a lot of other things. You got a lot of things here. Again, some highlights if you missed the show. Lance Archer gets up and he does the old school walk on the top rope a la The Undertaker, but then as he gets to the midpoint of the rope, he then does a moonsault onto whoever it was he in the ring that he was doing it with, which was just phenomenal. I mean, it was just a phenomenal piece of athleticism, which is great because Brodie was known for being a big man who did things that big men shouldn't have been able to do.
Brodie Lee did that as Brodie Lee's gimmick. That was his move he was doing.
Absolutely incredible to watch. We see all kinds of great sequences here. Ultimately, at the end, Stu looking good, Evil Uno's looking good. At the end, we end up having a crazy little just back and forth. We see Eddie Kingston mocking Jake the Snake. He hits DDT. 1, 2, no. In the end, we see Grayson takes out the Butcher. Dark Order hit the Fatality for the win. Dark Order and Lance Archer get the win. Actually, I misspoke. This match was good, but this was not the match that I'm thinking of. That it was the greatest sequence. That's coming up later. I got my Dark Order 6-man tag matches mixed up, but nonetheless, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and Lance Archer, they get the victory. And then after the match, though, Eddie Kingston gets in the ring. He's surrounded by Dark Order and Archer and Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake hits him with that short arm clothesline. So again, another good feel-good match in segment here.
Yeah, I forgot.
I love the short arm clothesline. I mean, Chris Jericho marked out. I mean, it was a very special moment because obviously Jake the Snake's not doing that any week. I haven't seen him do it since the 90s. And so it was really cool to see him pull out that short arm. He still looked good. And Eddie Kingston sold it. So, it was a great moment.
That was pretty cool. It was good. It was a good match. Something really add to what you guys said, Justin. You hit the nail on the head mainly.
We get more testimonials. We get a slideshow of Brodie Lee pictures of him with his family. We get Arn Anderson, Cole Cabana, sharing memories. Referee Bryce Remsburg, really
Remsburg, sorry, yeah.
Remsburg, really emotional. He worked with Brodie, I think, back in the Chikara days. He talks about how they just picked right back up after had not seen each other for a lot of years. And his final quote, which was really touching, playing off of our previous conversation, he says, if there was a Mount Rushmore of wrestling dads, I think Brodie should be on that face. So more family comments. No, yeah, really good. Okay, this is the one that I wish I meant to reference here, that I think the sequence of it and the finality and what happens was the best. This was the inner circle of Ortiz and Santana, along with MJF, Wardlow in his corner, up against more Dark Order, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Adam Page. Again, just all kinds of great action. Should be noted, MJF quickly going to the outside, talking some trash at Brodie Lee Jr., who's at ringside with some of the other wrestlers. So remember that. That's going to come back into play. So he's getting his heat. MJF also the first talent to be out there on the program, not wearing the Brodie Lee RIP armband. So really playing up the heel heat that he's trying to get for what's going to be the payoff here coming up.
Yep.
This match, again, I couldn't even try to go through move for move, and I don't really want to. But the bottom line is it's going crazy. John Silver, Matt Morgan's boy, John Silver just looking like a star. Commentary's putting him over. Innovative offense. He had tweeted earlier in the day that he wanted to be the workhorse, just like how Brodie Lee's always the workhorse. I think he definitely lived up to that goal. All right, let me make sure I get it here. So all kinds of shenanigans. Wardlow comes in from the outside. He takes out Reynolds. As he does that, you got big man Wardlow standing up. All of a sudden, we get a cameo surprise appearance from Eric Rowan, or Eric Redbeard. Jericho calls him by Eric Rowan, marking out that, of course, was his WWE name. He comes in. He drops Wardlow with the chokeslam. They fight off to the backstage. That's a big pop. Then we have Silver and Reynolds. They hit a combo followed up by the lariat cover. MJF puts Ortiz's leg on the ropes. He thinks he's so smart. He then walks up to Brodie Lee Jr., again, trash talking him some more, rips Brodie Lee Jr.'s mask off of his face, begins to spit on it, and then Brodie Lee Jr. pulls out a kendo stick and whacks MJF over the head. MJF bumps. Big pop. Ortiz alone in the ring. Silver hits Brodie's discus forearm for the win. This, guys, and after the match, Eric Rowan comes back out with a sign saying how much he loves and misses Brodie. And this was just, again, all ends of the emotional spectrum here.
This was. I mean, and I hope fans are not stupid and rude enough to be crapping on MJF. I hope that's not what's happening, right? I don't know because I'm not on Twitter. I have no idea. Hopefully they're not saying, "Oh, how can he do that? Where he wear an armband?" I hope they see the greatest tribute he could have paid to him was exactly what he did tonight. And let me be very clear. As a father of a little boy that does watch pro wrestling, shit, that little boy, for that one moment in time, fuck, dude. Oh, that's just Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, MJF was being the biggest dick heel he could, so the little boy could get the biggest pop. I mean, and when Brodie Lee Jr. hit the kendo stick on him, I mean, he was all smiles. He's sticking the tongue out. I mean, he was in it. This kid felt like he was Superman. This kid who's just lost his dad. But in the moment,
Justin, give others the chance to talk about it. You didn't shut up for the first 15 minutes. Give us an opportunity, for the love of God.
I'm charged up
to get our emotions out. All right. No offense. You're not a wrestler with a kid. I am. And I'm trying to explain that to these fans of how important that was for that little boy, and how that for that little boy who just lost his friggin' father to have that opportunity just for that 5 seconds. I promise you that little boy will never forget that. And that will make this, if there is a way, which there isn't, to make any of what's happened to him just a half of a centimeter, somewhat smidgen better. That was it. And I say kudos to MJF for doing it, because let me be clear, there's going to be assholes out there that are saying, oh, you let a kid come out. But whoever says that, I am going to verbally gut them. If somebody says something stupid like that, oh, you give away the business to I dare somebody to say that under these circumstances.
Yeah, and you did touch on it. One of the most beautiful parts about all of this is just how much they have rallied around Brodie Lee Jr. Because you just gotta wonder how difficult it's gotta be for him to lose your father at such a young age. And dating back to things we didn't even see on camera, for where they had that thing with Kenny Omega where he pinned him, and they've just been doing all this great stuff for Brodie Lee's family. And you know they're grieving, you know it's very sad and depressing for them. But there were points of the show where it was encouraging to see that the kid looked like he was having a good time. They just wanted him to get his mind off that for a couple of hours, and that was working. Even though he had the mask on, like you were saying, he had his tongue sticking out, and he was really enjoying himself. So that was really sweet to say, because one thing that I was thinking the whole time is, man, his kids just got to be so tough on his kids. But you got to see at least Brodie Lee Jr. having a good time out there.
Yes, sir.
Going to some super chats here. One thing I did miss in that match, Silver Reynolds throwing the papers, a la being the Elite. It's a little homage there to that.
Before the match.
If you hadn't watched that ever on Being the Elite, you're probably very confused of why the papers are such a weapon.
So funny. It really is, I promise.
So there's that one. What else do we got here? We got more super chats real quick. Jackson Callens, $4.99. Love you guys. Always got my support. All I can say, tough and emotional as a father. That was hard for me. May he breathe easy now. Very good words, Jackson. And one more here. Sorry. They're coming in. We appreciate all of them coming in here. Super chats galore. $9.99 from Jamie K. This was a beautiful 2 hours. Seeing the tears in the eyes of Brodie Jr. through his mask absolutely crushed me, but seeing the joy in his face after hitting MJF gave me hope. God bless his family. So like Matt was talking about. And finally, FH €5. Tonight made me proud to be a wrestling fan, and like Justin said, the tag ending was something special. Goosebumps. Rest in power, Brodie. So lots of everybody can relate. Can relate to the emotions that were going on there. So a huge way to end hour number one. All right. After that, we go to an Eddie Kingston testimonial, and he talked about Brodie and Brodie being a father and his kids. And the big quote that he left and ended with is, "If you to his kids," which is, he's not gone. If you remember his teachings, he's never gone. So powerful words there from Eddie Kingston, who had feuded with Brodie many years earlier in his career.
Yeah.
All right, up next we get some women's action. Dr. Britt Baker with Penelope Ford up against Anna Jay from the Dark Order and Ty Conti. This is a multi-woman's match. At one point, though, Anna Jay and Penelope, I think it was Anna and Penelope. They were hitting each other pretty hard. It was some entertaining action to watch here. At the end of it, though, ultimately Anna Jay and Ty Conti get the victory here, and then Tony talks to Britt real quick after the match. Britt gives a little nod to Big Rig and the match being rigged, and she's then ran down by Thunder Rosa. That's a match coming up here in a few weeks here. So some women's action in the night.
This is good. This is what it needed to be.
Yeah, Anna Jay is very good. I mean, she hasn't been doing it for very long, but she's going places.
She's going to be a big star, yes. Oh, yeah.
Tony, Matt going on in Justin because he spoke pretty popular. To Matt's credit, you got to keep the show moving. I'm getting all caught up in the emotions, but we all have them. It's all there.
He spoke on the. No, Antonio, let me correct that for you. Justin was stepping on my pop. Yes. That's how you say it, brother.
Yes.
That's like me making my wrestling entrance. Pyro's about to go off, and Jen said, "Fuck that shit! I'm throwing water on it." But
running up there with
the opposite type of way, like, because we're talking about sad stuff, so like the opposite of all that, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, Matt's right. I'm taking the fire extinguisher as pop. It was entrance,
but not pop. Yeah, but yeah, we're talking about sad, shitty things at the same time. If that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know.
Christian, this if you had to guess who would give the most laugh out loud testimonial about remembering Brodie, no surprise that Chris Jericho would be it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead. Yeah. I would have guessed. I would have guessed Silver. I would have, even though Jericho's fucking hilarious, obviously. But he didn't disappoint, right?
No, not at all. That was incredible.
I'll give the summary. Jericho's summary with Brodie. He talks about how he wrestled Brodie 27 times. And he recalls when they were over in Saudi Arabia, obviously with WWE. They were over in Saudi Arabia, and Jericho's in his hotel room, and he's bugged that he's bothered, I should say. He's looking at his ceiling, and he keeps seeing something. At first, he thought it was a bug. Then he thought it was like a sticker. And he was just annoyed by this until Brodie comes in the room to hang out. And Jericho shares in his frustration to Brodie about this object on the wall, and Brodie just Brodie was a very smart guy. Goes, it's the arrows pointing towards where Mecca is, and like, don't you know that? And Jericho goes like, no, and Brodie's like, everybody knows that, and Jericho uses that to just say like how smart this guy was, sarcastic, but just fun to be around. I popped so hard watching this.
And I'll be honest, Chris is in a line of other long line of other wrestlers that didn't know that either. By the way, that is how smart Brodie was.
Brodie used to work in a library. He's a well-read, smart guy.
Yeah, very, yes.
Alfred, did you know that the arrows were pointing towards Mecca?
I can't say that I did, but we learn something new every day.
I would have been in that line.
yeah, I learned something from that Jericho promo, so good on him and good on Brodie Lee.
Yeah.
All right, so if you go to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, don't mess with what's on the ceiling. It's there for religious reasons. All right, some super chats here. Bandy Jacobs, $5. Having never met Bruce Mitchell or read any of his work, was he being stupid, dense, or attention-seeking with his article? R.I.P. Brodie Lee. Yeah, Bandy, I don't really want to go down this, but
I didn't like it.
Yeah,
it's that way. I didn't like it that way. Nobody should be telling any family how they should be remembering their loved one. Fuck you.
Yeah, I saw Bruce Mitchell deactivated his Twitter. I saw that he was let go from the PW Torch after 30 years of work.
Oh, he was let go?
He was let go after 30 plus years. And this is the weird, disgusting hill you decide to die on, is to push him.
Something more than that I'm missing? Because I got to be honest, I could only get through part of it. And it was the part about what his Brodie's family, he thought should be, trying to use his memory for something like that. That really rubbed me the wrong way, and I had to stop because my blood pressure shot up.
What I believe it was, in chat room, you can correct me. What I believe was and actually Brodie's wife ended up. God, I can't believe he made her do this. Basically, she ended up having to even basically respond to this on Instagram. Bruce's piece basically was trying to suggest that AEW and Brodie's family were covering something up, or that maybe this is COVID related, or there has to be more to this.
Right.
How could it was just such an insane. You're not a doctor, and Jericho even tweeted at Bruce and said, "Look, you're not a doctor. The best doctors don't even have all the answers. Just shut up. You're causing more pain."
I didn't see the article. What was the point of this article? Was to try to ask what he's really suffering from?
I don't know what the point of it was.
And also the family, the part that I read that irked me and made my blood pressure jump, and I stopped reading it after this, was something along the lines of he's basically telling the missus and the family what they should be using this for, as in his memory, to honor. If you want to honor him properly, shouldn't we be saying talking about blah blah blah? And there was something in there about COVID. I don't want to misquote it because I just remember being friggin' furious with it, and then I stopped reading it. But I just remember getting that. The biggest gist out of that for me was, who the bleep are you to tell somebody who just lost somebody how they're supposed to be remembering their loved one? Come on, man. There's no reason. What do you get out of that?
Yeah.
Come on. Honestly, what do you get out of that?
Yeah. And let's leave it at that, guys. I love the super chats, but I pulled it up because of super chat, and that's kind of the policy. But please don't. I don't really want to talk about it.
God, I'm way out of the loop, brother. I'm so out of the loop. I was pretty impressed with myself that I even knew to read this. Yeah, because I've not read a wrestling site. I swear to God, and I'm not in wrestling anymore. So why would I? When I wrestled, I'd read all the sheets and all the sites. All the wrestlers do. Don't let them lie to you. They all do. But I don't anymore because I don't wrestle. So somebody did send me that right when it was written. So I was able to read that one.
I mean, it was shared all over the place for the wrong reasons of how, I mean, again, to put a cap on it, he wrote it for PW Torch. He got it put up. It was not edited. And I think Wade Keller, who's the editor, even said like it wasn't edited or nothing because Wade was on vacation and like the timeliness of it. And so they ended up pulling it. So they ended up pulling it off. PW Torch did. And then rather than just letting it go away, Bruce doubled down again, died on the Hill, and then posted it to like whatever South Carolina newspaper website he works for. He put it there and then put more commentary. After Brodie, after John Huber's wife, without naming him, like said, like, why do I have to be answering to this right now? Again, I don't really want to, but yeah, it's just unbelievable that was even.
That's so sad that even was a thing for her. Yeah. Like seriously, that's sad. That's even a thing. God dang, like that's the last thing she should be having to sweat or worry about.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So moving on, more super chats. Antonio Norman, $5 pop together. That's what wrestling is all about. Love y'all. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody getting some joy together. $9.99 from Mike McKillop. Cry the entire show. Watch with my autistic son, who wants to be a wrestler. As a dad, I will do whatever it takes for him to achieve his dream. That's a great message there.
Good on you, Mike.
David Call again. $9. LaBar Barians catching heat.
We're all friends here, guys. Stop instigating. All you super chat instigators.
Yeah.
Dude, Justin's one of my best friends, you guys. So trust me. Usually how we talking off the show.
Don't pull the curtain away from them. Down from them.
Yes.
Nightmare Knee, $5. This show was hard to get through, but easy to watch. If that makes sense. That actually does make a lot of sense. That's a great way to put it. Actually,
it is.
That's
a really good way to put it. Actually, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's the
summary
of this.
It's an oxymoronic statement, but yet, it's true.
It is. All right, we're coming down the stretch here, so we will finish it off here. So we go into, this is the main event match. Excuse me, main event match. This match, Team Taz, the heels in this, and the opposite side participants, they kept selling it. Were picked by Brodie Lee Jr. -1, as they've dubbed him as his name in the Dark Order. He's Brodie's oldest, and this is Brodie Lee Jr.'s 3 favorite AEW talents, and that's Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and 10 from the Dark Order. So Tony Khan and the company, they put these 3 together to go up against Cage, Hobbs, and Starks from Team Taz. And again, this was what it should be. Orange Cassidy gave a nice little Orange Cassidy fist bump to Brodie Lee Jr. in the entrance, and all kinds of feel good stuff. Good match, good back and forth. Well, let's just get to the money part of this here. Cody hits the crossroads, launches Starks to 10. 10 hits the spinebuster. 10 gets the pin, which I think is worth noting. So they celebrate. But then after that, guys, we end up getting Team Taz trying to surround them, trying to outnumber them. Of course, Hook and Taz are out there. Lights go out. Here comes Darby. Darby's in the crowd. Lights go out again. Here's the Snow. Here's Sting. Sting and Darby, they hit the ring. So now they hit the ring and are standing tall with Orange Cassidy, Cody, and 10, and Team Taz backs off. We'll stop here with that. What do you guys think of that segment and tying in some current AEW storylines?
I was just going to say that, actually, Justin, that was great. That was a great way to cap off the show, end the show. Freaking Sting appeared on it, like on a tribute show to, like, bro, dude, I'm telling you, Brodie's going bonkers inside in heaven watching this. Going bonkers, because he was a massive wrestling fan. Being in the locker room with Sting, you guys, never gets old. Ever. I don't care if you were in the same locker room with him for 10 years straight. It never gets old. So that's awesome. I think that's awesome that they were able to parlay that into a storyline to get that another step further between Sting and Darby Allin.
Darby.
That's cool. I thought that was cool. And again, they did it all within this context of having this be an entire tribute show. And a lesson to all these wrestling companies, I'll say it again, you can write a show on the fly. Just about. Because they threw this together very quickly. And it was an amazing show. This was a good show.
Yeah, and this is also a good night to be Preston Vance. At 10, I thought he showed well. I think he has got a good look. And he was in this match for such a great reason, because a child was asked who are your favorite wrestlers. And, Cody and Orange Cassidy, you figure, Preston Vance, with all due respect to him, I think he's going to do great things in this business. He's one of the names that you wouldn't figure would be in that role, but he was. And that's not lost on AEW officials that a young child says that Preston Vance is one of his favorite wrestlers. They're going to look into that and see, hey, maybe we can build a young viewership with this guy. Maybe there's something about the guy in the mask with all the muscles that the kids like. And there is. It's not a coincidence. And so I really liked this match. I thought it was really good. I liked that Preston Vance. They're really putting him over. They really kind of did screw with Darby because, I mean, week after week, you get some of the biggest pops. But when they turn the lights off, you're thinking it's Sting, and then it was Darby's music, so it seemed kind of like a disappointment. And then Sting came out. I thought that was kind of awkward how they did that, but everything about that was great.
So real quick, dude, 10. If you remember when he first came in, he physically, he's always been very impressive looking physically.
Yeah,
he's he's jacked. He's strong. His moves are impactful. His big man move set is good. His spine buster tonight was nasty. He's good. So hopefully this is something that, comes of it. That's a good point what you just made on the younger demographic. Maybe he's not by himself. I do know, they said Brodie Lee took him under his wing, especially maybe more than some of the others of the Dark Order, because he's a big man. Big men always do that with other big men when they're not insecure. WWE, when I was there, guys, it wasn't so much the same thing. But real big men that are not insecure, when they see another big guy on the roster, you want to help them. That's what you're supposed to be doing, because you want to build that big guy up to one day go draw money with. And from what it sounds like, Brodie was already doing that with 10 and trying to groom him and get him better and get him ready, because he does have potential, you guys. I mean, let's see what he looks like. Do we know what he looks like without a hood or no?
There are pictures if you Google Preston Vance.
Is he a good looking dude or?
Yeah, I mean, you can pass him off as the high school quarterback. That's, good looking
without wearing him. Okay.
So that might be what got him over with Brodie Lee's son.
Man,
he looks like a superhero. He looks like a cartoon comic book character.
But one of the Joker henchmen, though.
Jacked
up henchman from the comic books. Yeah,
exactly. That's perfect.
Right, a henchman who has doesn't even have a name. He's just not a number, but yet gets over. I wanted to share this real quick because I thought this was fun. Because again, people talking about the connections to Brodie Lee and to the show. So a guy who I know who's now a retired pro wrestler. He's actually a mutual friend. He's one of the ones who introduced me to Brodie years ago. His name is Bobby Shields. You can follow him on Twitter at @RealBobShields. He had a fun tweet that I never knew this. He goes, so there's actually a connection to Sting and to Brodie. He goes, Brodie once prank called Sting and left him a voicemail. It was maybe around the time when TNA maybe had their first on-the-road pay-per-view, which I think was in Detroit. We were watching the pay-per-view, and he decided to call him. So I just laughed at that because I was trying to imagine in my mind Brodie Lee prank calling, leaving a voicemail to Sting, as Bobby Shields tells that story there. So we see the babyfaces standing up. They go to break. We come back. Cody Rhodes then fighting off tears. You could tell emotional. They play a tribute video. Or excuse me, actually before the tribute video, Cody Rhodes introduces Brodie's family. Out comes his wife and their oldest son, Brodie Lee Jr., along with Tony Khan and 10. And Tony Khan makes the announcement that's, no offense, Cody, but Brodie Lee was the greatest TNT champion we've had, and gives that TNT title to Brodie Lee Jr. Of course, Brodie Lee Jr. also put his father's boots at the center of the ring. Very symbolic, obviously, of hanging the boots up. Yeah,
that killed me.
And as a super chat said earlier, so it does seem official that TNT title, as we have known it for the past 6-8 months, they are retiring that title. That is just going to go forever now to Brodie and his family, and they will, have a new title.
What will they call it?
I don't know. I don't know. Don't know.
Is it going to be another TNT title, or is it the idea of the TNT?
No, why not just retire why not retire the belt and give it to the family, right? But then, create another actual physical TNT title, because that was a good idea they were having with that. I always thought.
That's what I thought that you meant when you said. I thought they were just retiring the belt.
If the super, I'll try to find. I'm sure it's on Twitter. I'll try to find Tony Khan's comments, or if super chats can, or not super chats, anybody can. But nonetheless, they do that, and then they go to a video package. A video package, again, talk about AEW doing it the right way. They had a mix of video, of course, of AEW footage with Brodie Lee. They had obviously personal photos that Brodie and his wife owned, whether it be them personally or pictures of Brodie with many WWE talents that WWE does not own those photos. And I thought it was very touching that those are people that are important to his life, and they showed them. Who cares if they work for another company? Drop that shit for this moment. I thought it was a great package.
even more reason, dude. This company's foundation is just mind-blowing to me. Like, because that's what this is. This is their foundation. They're what, 1 and 2 years? How long they been on TV? A year and change?
14 months, 15 months.
Come on.
Yeah.
Dude, WWE does some cool tributes. They do a good job with it when they sometimes do it, right? Not on this level, you guys. And this is a 14-month company. Dude, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed by Tony Khan and everybody that works backstage in that company.
What I love watching the shows, there's no ugly politics, which is at the center of why WWE is not doing that. Because obviously WWE could throw something together if they had 6 hours notice and they wanted to do something like that. But the politics is something that kind of they get tripped up on. But here you saw pictures of WWE wrestlers with Brodie. You saw Eric Rowan show up. There was no politics of, oh, that's a WWE guy. We don't want him on this show. There was nothing like that. Let's just get anybody who cared about Brodie, tell his story, honor him. You can talk about your time in WWE together. This is just, we're going to honor Brodie Lee first and foremost. And that needs to be kind of more the mindset of professional wrestling, especially on the national level, where there's less politics and, more family-friendly love when it comes to somebody passing away.
So the bulk of chats coming in, there is actually one super chat, is people are saying so it is like you're saying, they're going to redesign the title, but it should still be the TNT title, but they're going to do a new design, a new belt.
And when he says lineage, he means a new champion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading a lot of different ones going and saying Tony Schiavone revealed in his pod.
Oh, there you go.
Tony Schiavone revealed in his post show that a new belt will be made.
Okay.
Retiring the belt design, still be the TNT title, but okay. So there will be a TNT title by name, but yes, it'll be a different look, different.
Thanks, chat room. You guys are smarter than us.
Sounds good.
Hang on, we got a few more super chats, and we'll quickly jump over to NXT. We'll do final thoughts on AEW, and then we'll do NXT. Marcus Thomas, I know some people dislike AEW, but I love AEW because it's leadership in place. Tony, Bucks, Cody, and Kenny, rest in peace, rest in power. Brodie Lee, very nice. Terrence. So where does the Dark?
Business. I like that people are saying that. I never heard that.
I do too. So where does Dark Order go from here? I saw Brodie versus Hangman scenario, but this is. Oh, so I saw before his passing. I saw Brodie versus Hangman.
Are you kidding me? Like, there's so many breakouts from that group.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding me, John? Dude, obviously John Silver, but also. Alex Reynolds, 10 potentially now, right? Yeah. And what about Evil Uno? Evil Uno got himself in shape. He's lost a ton of weight. You're supposed to reward that, by the way. When the talent does that and they're busting their ass because they're being made fun of how they looked, or they themselves just want to look better, and they put all that time in the weight room like that, usually you get rewarded for that. And I hope he does get rewarded because I love his promos. And I hated him at first. You guys remember this. Go back to the earlier shows. I buried Dark Order. You guys know what I'm talking about. I did. But I ate crow on it because they've improved. They got good, and they're one of the best acts now. And a lot of that has to do with being them on BTE, if I'm being honest. They won me over. They started winning me over on that show. And then I started to see them spread it into their actual TV show. They still need to do more of that because, dude, they're funny as hell. I think they're entertaining as hell, but I think there's 3 to 4 breakouts from that. Oh, P.S. This old guy, maybe you heard of him, Cole Cabana, is also in the organization. Like, there's tons that I think you could do something with.
Cole Cabana did the Dark Order talk for the first time, and so he's all the way in. And the sky is the limit for Dark Order. They are literally in the exact opposite position as they were last year. Because last year, insane. I didn't see how they could have salvaged it. No. This year, this is AEW's project to screw up. Like, they're the hottest act in wrestling right now. They were already on the way to becoming like a really hot act. They were doing great things, like you said, with BTE and whatnot. But now, unfortunately, with this tragedy, they have been thrust into the spotlight, but they have so much talent that I can't see how AEW could screw this up now. This is AEW. It's on them to make sure that these guys become big stars and that the Dark Order becomes front and center because people want to see it now more than ever.
Yeah, I think they've got plenty of talent in there to do it.
Bandy Jacobs, $5 collar and elbow, selling a Brodie T-shirt, and with all the proceeds going to the Hoover family. Yes, same thing with AEW in their shirt tonight. All the proceeds
Thanks,
going.
Al Snow. Good guy.
Should also be noted too. CM Punk and Mick Foley have said that all their pro wrestling tees proceeds for I think the month of January is going to go to Brodie's family. So again, wrestling family, the community really coming out. And disgruntled Jets fan, whatever plans they had for the tag titles, I think they should change them and put them on the Dark Order in the coming year. Yeah, I mean, your Young Bucks, your champions now that we certainly talked about this. So there's talents to consider. We'll have to see if it makes sense. But as Alfred said, the Dark Order is now AEW's project to screw up the plant.
And I'd like to see the Acclaim still get and they have some really young.
Sure.
Let's be honest, they have some very amazing tag teams, and that's the most stacked tag team division. The Acclaimed, I still think it was too early for them to have to lose just yet. They were just starting to take off. They're still going to be big stars, in my opinion. They're a great act. And then also, what's the two brothers? The two 20-year-old brothers that are freaking awesome. Top Flight. Dude, they're freaking nasty as hell. They're awesome to watch. They're exciting. Like one of my favorite tag teams. I can't remember their name. But I'm old. Leave me alone. 21 concussions, folks. Leave me alone. But seriously, they're stacked. They're loaded with just tag teams. So it's not a diss on Dark Order if they don't get the tag titles, obviously, right away, brother. But there's some really good tag teams in this division. We want to see the resurgence of tag team. It's happening. In AEW, I'll argue.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen. Any final thoughts on AEW, Brodie Lee, or anything connected to it?
I feel like we beat this. We definitely beat this horse. So as much as humanly possible, with the ups and downs and the emotional roller coaster that was this show. This was awesome. In my opinion, that's just awesome.
Part of why it's such a good idea to do a tribute show, because this also gives us an avenue to release our thoughts and feelings and how great Brodie Lee was. So it's very cathartic to me.
I like that.
Absolutely. So that was that. So a show that I could say this: I will not be deleting this episode off my DVR anytime soon. So
that's cool.
Good point.
Rest in peace, rest in power, Brodie Lee. All right, and with that, we'll it's an awkward segue. Obviously, there was other wrestling going on, as there is on Wednesday night over on USA. It was NXT. They're, of course, doing their go-home show to their New Year's Evil special.
Alfred, is going to be stacked, by the way.
Yes, it is.
It is, yeah.
Alfred?
So let's just get through this show quickly. It's actually a pretty good show. Bronson Reed beat Swerve Scott at the beginning. Wasn't a squash match. They kind of give Swerve Scott a lot. I was kind of surprised to see Swerve in this situation because he's just turning heel. But Bronson Reed won. He looked good.
I didn't like him losing, just for the record. I did not.
Yeah. Justin?
Yeah, I agree. It was an awkward decision to have at this point in time. So
just turned.
They're giving out awards all night. First award, Breakout Star of the Year, goes to Shotzi Blackheart. She accepts from a fire pit, does her howl. That was interesting. Then Breezango faced the Grizzled Young Vets. Good back and forth tag team match. They're working over Fandango's leg. Gibson started bleeding from the mouth, really hard hitting stuff. They eventually get rid of Fandango. They do the Ticket to Mayhem on Breeze for the win. And now they're really talking up the Dusty Rhodes Classic. So this will be one of the teams entered in, and they're going to be one of the favorites.
We're talking about tag team wrestling resurgence. Dude, I love Grizzled Young Vets. I hate their name. I gotta be honest. I don't like it. But they themselves are freaking fun as hell to watch. And they're different. They're very different with their offense, even with their tandem offense when they do it. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I caught bits and pieces of this match. I didn't see it in full. It's definitely on my to-do list to go back and do in the coming days. But yeah, I mean, there was some hard-hitting physicality. Oh, yeah. Yeah, with the Dusty Rhodes Classic coming back, and then we'll get to it. There's some other tag teams that are emerging in NXT. This might be one of the more intriguing Dusty Rhodes Classic tournament brackets they've ever had.
I wrote those exact words in my notes, Justin.
Better than last year's. Last year, remember what they were doing? Chat room got mad at me because they were trying to jam two singles acts in a tag team down our throat, and I called it out, and chat room was mad at me for it.
So then to Justin's point, we go to the Tag Team of the Year, the Undisputed Era. They accept the awards backstage, but they're standing there's Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly have one award. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong are on the other side. And so they're kind of teasing that Adam Cole and Roderick Strong are going to enter the Dusty Rhodes Classic. And it's kind of a friendly game of one-upsmanship. They're still together, but there's a little bit I don't know if it's dissension, but it's competitive friendliness, I guess you can call it.
I missed this. Who technically was the Tag Team of the Year?
Well, they said Undisputed Era, and they both had the belts. They didn't split it between any two people. I think it was technically Fish and O'Reilly, because that's the tag team within Undisputed Era. But Undisputed Era won the award, and they all celebrated as if they both had it.
But that's not fair to give it to four people. You can't do that.
Yeah, they essentially all celebrated with the award.
It's the free bird rule, +1.
Right. Yeah, really. Yeah, really.
Like an ostrich. We go to Xia Li and Boa, which there's no word spoken here, folks. They're about to make their big debut, so they're doing shadow boxing. They're swinging around the sword. They're the mysterious samurai blows smoke into their faces. So they're coming into NXT next week, and they show the characters. I wouldn't feel right doing the Xia Li impressions on a night like this anyway.
What about the part when he was slinging around his sword?
No, it was Xia Li swinging around a sword.
Xia Li?
Yeah, she had a sword.
So
and she was
I missed this. I'll be honest. I missed this part. But for what it's worth, where are they going with it? Because eventually, there's the old adage, then the bell rings, is what I always used to be told. That can have all the sizzle. Like, people can have all the sizzle in the world. They can have all the greatest pre-tapes in the world. They can have all the great dressing in the world. But once that bell rings, then what? So I'm very interested to see how they turn this into an actual, like, what's it going to look like in a wrestling context, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I get what Matt's saying here, but I have been intrigued as the weeks are going on, and I've seen more of these. I've been intrigued. And then Alfred, if you saw the same thing I did, so there's Xia Li, and then there's Boa, then there's like the older man, right. But what they teased tonight was Xia and Boa following a hooded individual into the light, and then that's when they said next week. So like, there's like there's a leader. Right.
Yeah, then that's what I'm going to be interested to see, because this seems like it's there to build up this mysterious person. It could be Karen Q. People think it might be Miko Satomura or whatnot. Me and Roger joke it should be Naomi or something. It should be somebody to just throw us off. But everybody thinks it's going to be some mysterious Asian wrestler. But she's been in these promos with her mask, and that's the person that they've been really building up. So I think Xia and Bo are going to be the henchmen, and then she's going to be the main act who wrestles all the matches.
Who she being who?
There's this mystery. May not even be fair to call it a she. There's a samurai figure who's either in a mask or in a hood, and they've been appearing. Usually they're just sitting off in the corner and not too much attention is paid to them. But by the end of these segments, usually you'll see the face of this person, and then they'll kind of head off. So this person's probably going to make some big debut, and Xia and Bo are going to be the henchmen.
Okay.
So no chance is Matt Bloom reinstating Lord Tensai.
It might be. You know what? That's what I hope it is. Tensai was done wrong.
It was done wrong.
Tensai was done dirty. He was.
Seriously. I thought it was cool when it was being reintroduced. Because, dude, I was in Japan when he was there. I was working for New Japan when he was with All Japan. That dude was on the front page of everything out there. He was killing it in Japan. Yeah.
Right? You get him to come back from Japan. He's got a look. You got the, I mean, and then they just fed him to John Cena and let him get eaten up.
They gave him the mist and everything. Yeah. So we get Mercedes Martinez. She's back in a squash match against Valentina Ferro. She put everybody on notice. Really like this. She looked great. We get into the Woman Competitor of the Year. It's Io Shirai. She cut a promo pre-tape saying thank you. Then we go right to the Male Competitor of the Year, which is Adam Cole. And Adam took his time to put over Kyle O'Reilly. Says that he'll be even happier when Kyle O'Reilly wins next week.
So let me ask a question. If what's his name? If Keith Lee doesn't get called up, and if
Keith Lee?
If Keith Lee doesn't get called up.
Oh, if he did. Okay, yeah.
Do you think Keith Lee wins this? Or do you think Homeboy still wins?
Good question. I think he does. If he's still in NXT, especially because he's the first ever double champion and he beat Adam Cole to win him. I mean, absolutely.
And also, why do they call it female? Did they call it Male Competitor of the Year too? Or did they say male?
They did. We'll get into that because they have a female competitor of the year, they have a male competitor of the year, then they have an overall. So then that's the best person between the two of them.
Why? Which I like that, but why competitor? Why not wrestler?
I don't know. NXT, actually, it's kind of refreshing to me to see that they don't use a WWE terminology, but I too would prefer wrestler. But I'm just glad they didn't say superstar, or they're not obsessed with breaking their terms. You know, I think competitor sounds so much better if you're watching wrestling than to call everybody a superstar.
I agree with that. I hate the term superstar.
I do. And by the way, I know it wasn't much to talk about as we went over it, but seeing Mercedes Martinez out there, all I could think is I saw her doing her big entrance and following the camera. I was like, thank God she got out of Retribution.
Yes.
Dude, are you kidding me? This is the the heist of the century.
The NXT lottery.
Like, seriously, you talk about dodging a bullet. Like, this may go. She's so damn talented, and she's been in the business forever. So for her to get this, I mean, I hope they do something with it, and I hope it has nothing to do with Retribution again when she does eventually get brought back up to Raw or SmackDown.
We go into Roderick Strong versus Pete Dunne. This is a really good match. They're really talking up how Roderick Strong hasn't wrestled a match in the singles competition for 6 months. I didn't notice that, but they're really talking up the cardio and how he needs to kind of stay in it. So they're having kind of a chess match, a lot of submission stuff. The finish goes when Pete Dunne has Kyle O'Reilly. Roderick Strong has Pete Dunne down for a submission, and then Dunne snaps his fingers and hits the bitter end for the win. And then Pete Dunne calls out Finn Balor. He wants to face Finn Balor. We go to the match of the year, and that is Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly, which, listen, that was a great match. Maybe it deserved match of the year, but I don't know if there's some balance stuff because it's such a perfect match to win match of the year the week before they run it back. So they did that, and this is where they have the segment with Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. I really like this. It was backstage with Finn Balor about to go out. I couldn't really hear what Pete Dunne was saying because music was playing, but he's basically calling out Finn Balor because Finn Balor tells him to stand in line. And we do like 3 segments. So it goes from Pete Dunne to Finn Balor. Finn Balor goes to the ring, and he cuts his promo with Kyle O'Reilly, which they do a great job building up this match, going back and forth. Finn says he doesn't really care as much about winning this, and Kyle O'Reilly calls it a participation award in terms of the NXT Match of the Year. So they're kind of throwing away their Match of the Year award because they want the NXT Championship. And then from there, Karrion Kross comes in and interrupts. And that's when Scarlett Bordeaux says, your fate has already been sealed. Karrion Kross says, Doomsday is here, tick-tock. And from there, Damian Priest shows up right behind Karrion Kross. He says, this is how you step like a man. And then they start brawling all over the place. They both go through a table off the stage, and Scarlett Bordeaux is like climaxing. She's just in heat. So excited to see these guys go through a table, and that's how we go to the commercial. What do you think about this, Matt?
I like your analogy of it. This was good. I still don't like Karrion Kross being put in situations to look inferior yet. I know Priest is the truth. I know he is. I know he's a future main event on Raw and SmackDown waiting to happen. He is. But still, so is he. And I think he has a cooler act. I still think he needs to be protected. I don't want to see him doing things that every other average wrestler on the show can do. I know it sounds stupid, but like, oh, Matt, come on, you can't go through a table? No, I think it's way too early. I don't want to see him go through tables yet. Not at all. He's a monster. Treat him that way.
So I get what Matt's saying. I slightly disagree here.
So you don't have Priest wrestle him. If you say, well, what do you do, Matt? You don't let Priest and him work each other.
And that's where it comes to, right? Is they've chose to have Priest be the guy that he is coming back from this injury to work. It's like you don't want to, Priest is not going to win the match, but you at least got to like give Priest some upstanding reason of why he's even credible to be in it. So
what's the good out of it?
Like,
they kind of be a future main eventer, right? What's he going to get out of this by losing to him? Nothing. Why do this?
Yeah, they kind of put themselves in a corner with this. I'm glad to see Kross back. Alfred, I loved your analogy because I thought similar things too when they went to the table, and then Scarlett is just there. I mean, look, and you just can't help but thinking. I mean, she just has this orgasmic look on her face, and you're just like, what is happening here? A lot of business being sold for the upcoming event they have. But to Matt's point, it's why did you choose Priest to be the person? Again, I don't see Priest winning, so I'm very interested to see how they choose to have Priest lose when that happens.
Yeah, very interesting choice. But, you could look at a segment like that and think it's Crash TV, but I really did like how they intertwine all 3 of these angles to make, A, it look like that a lot of people want the NXT Championship, and B, kind of sell 2 big-time matches in the same segment. I thought that was really cool how they did that. We get a Rhea Ripley promo, which this is, to me, was the best thing on the show. This one promo made me want to watch this match. I had no idea that Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez are like friends in real life. They're best friends. We see pictures of them together. We see videos of them together. They have a matching tattoo on their pinkies that say R and R. That's how close they are. This is a legit best friendship. Rhea Ripley is saying how when she came here, she had nobody. So Raquel's always been like the sister that she never had. They're trying to make Raquel look kind of sinister because they're showing these pictures of them. But they'll take a picture of Raquel behind Rhea in a tour bus, and they'll zoom in on Raquel, make her look like she's plotting something. And then at the end, they showed R and R, Rhea and Raquel. And then they changed the N to look like a V, so it's RVR. And then I put in my notes in all caps, let's effing go. Because now I can't wait for this match. It sucks what they did with Rhea Ripley. That's the only downside, is that she's lost so much that it's kind of ruining the storytelling. And they never, ever mentioned the fact that they were real friends in real life, I don't think, on TV. But this angle I thought this was a really good way to just kind of go home with this matchup.
It was. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, a great usage, as you said, Alfred, of all the real footage they have as the people behind the characters. And I always think, and I've said in different phrases, when you can pull from any kind of real life stuff, if you have actual real life video and pictures, or if the internet knows there's real life connection, the people just connect with that because we all have so much access to information that connects. And that even goes back to pre-heavy internet. That goes back to Sean and Brett worked great because it eventually just seeped out that there was real animosity there. You know, I don't like to use a reference, but Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan had a very successful run in WCW because there was real history. Matt Hardy, Edge. Whenever we know that there's a real relationship and potential conflict, it plays off. So for them to dig into the archives of their friendship, and like you said, Alfred's great. They're trying to like show Raquel's been plotting this for all these years prior by just using the tricks of editing and zooming into things. You're right. This is up there for some of the best piece of television NXT produced tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if there is an award for video package of the year, this is it. I mean, I recommend everybody just go and watch this. This is really well done. Then we go into another interesting segment. Santos Escobar is in the ring, and he's being a heel. He's saying, I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to dominate. And then he's interrupted by none other than the Lucha House Party, Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik. So we get a tag team match, Lucha House Party versus Wilder Mendoza, Legado del Fantasma. And, I mean, Lucha House Party looked incredible. This is essentially a squash match. Gran Metalik hit a running Hurricane Rod on the outside. They won their match. And so next week at New Year's Evil, we're going to get Gran Metalik versus Santos Escobar, which I think is going to be an incredible match.
Well, rooted to Gran Metalik was on NXT. Chat room, you can already predict what my opinion of this is. Just go back to last week's, what was it, SmackDown or Raw? I couldn't even tell you what show he's on because I don't want to watch him when he's on.
What?
And it's the same.
Wow.
Dude, I'm sorry. You cannot expect me to start taking them seriously when they got introduced to me for a year straight as nothing but jobbers.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. And this might be too little too late. But yeah, that's absolutely
fair. Can I counter my own argument really quick? Well, Matt, you said the same thing about Dark Order. Why do you like them now? Because they've given me something. What has Gran Metalik done in promos or character development to win me over and say, well, I'm an idiot. I should be loving this guy because he's got cool moves in the ring. Get in line. His character's done nothing new. Zero. Dark Order, where do you want me to start on their character development? They're frigging a 6 onion ring, whatever the hell you want to, 6 onion layers of onions. All of them have character development, even down to freaking 10 now. Like, it's insane of how well they've done that. So I know everyone else likes Gran Metalik. Trust me, you two are not alone. Glenn loves them. Raj is kind of like in between, but I'm not a fan. That's all. So
sorry. I can't
fast forward.
I can't argue with there's not been like a ton of character progression other than they gave a quick little promo backstage to Gran and Lince Dorado this past Monday before Gran Metalik beat The Miz. I get that. It's good, cool moves. You're right.
Tell
get in line.
Me what am I missing though? What is it that I'm missing?
Here's
you guys aren't alone. Most fans.
Here's what I like. Here's what I like about them. What I like, and I've liked about them when they were on SmackDown, Raw, is I like the fact that there's this influx on the roster of all these cruiserweights to 205 Live. Most of them go to 205 Live. I do feel like Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado, because they are one of very few masked wrestlers that they put on Raw or SmackDown, they do stand out. I do think they have some of the best in-ring stuff, so they stand out to me in that regard. I like the fact that Gran Metalik got to win.
They were coming out wearing sombreros, having piñatas.
True.
And
you know what? But you know what? Maybe them moving to NXT is a great thing for them. And as I said earlier, I teased this comment. The Dusty Rhodes Classic coming up. I'm all in if Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado want to be part of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. I think it's that much more depth to this tournament.
Oh, that would add depth. There's no question. They better not win it, though.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm a fan necessarily maybe of Gran Metalik because, again, they did not train our brains to rally around a guy like this, but I do know that he's a talented wrestler. I just want to see this guy wrestle, and that's exactly what they did. They didn't shoot some goofy angle. They just had them go out there and wrestle, and I thought it was incredible how they looked. But, if they don't have a character behind them, they don't give you a reason to care. It's definitely understandable why you wouldn't be a fan, but just as a wrestler, he's good.
I'm going to tell everybody the truth in here, and you guys probably got to tell when it's time for me to cover anything with Gran Metalik or Lucha House Party in it. I generally don't watch it. Not because like I'm going on strike or anything, but I'm bored by it. Like, and so the last remnants in my head are when WWE really tried to push them as this comedy act coming out and doing all these stupid house parties, whatever you want to call it, crap, with playing this stupid stereotype that freaking infuriates me. And it's lazy booking. And I'm like, why am I going to buy into that? I don't want to tell WWE and help and add to their ratings and go, like, this is good. Yeah, keep doing this. Please keep missing my band. Can you please do more stereotypical characters that completely bury an entire rating? No, I'm not giving them my rating. I'm turning it off. And I swear to you, I know you think I'm nuts. So I haven't watched it since back then. So like, that's all what's in my head. So my question is, how do you all erase all that crap out of your head with the stupid stuff they had them doing, and now you're taking them serious all of a sudden?
Now, that's actually an incredible question, Matt. And the thing is, I would argue that I'm rewarding NXT by maybe investing in Grand Metalik League. When he's being used like this, I'm putting him over right now. If we were reviewing Raw and he showed up to a ring and pinata, you're right. I would say it's one of the dumbest things ever. Let's just move past this. It's ridiculous. But now it's like, look at them in NXT where they're presented as wrestlers, where they're not carrying around pinatas. This is the type of booking I'm rewarding for NXT and how they're being presented in NXT rather than WWE on the main roster.
It's a fair point. That's well said. Okay.
Yeah, Vince McMahon has them on Raw or SmackDown, and they're the Mexicools. Triple H has them on NXT.
Yes.
Triple H has them on NXT, and they're the opening star-studded match of Nitro '96. They're the best of the cruiserweights.
Yes.
Dude, and listen, Lince Dorado's from here. He's from my hometown. He's from here in Central Florida in Orlando. Dude, he's worked these indies. He had fans before. Like, I'm dead serious. Fans would come to the shows to watch him because he was so short, but he was like Ray. He was supposed to be like the next Ray. I'm dead serious. And he was really thought of that highly. So, like, to see what they did with him, I was like, what the?
Yeah.
Girl.
And I've been watching a lot of those WWE Day of specials. And Lince Dorado, when they talk to him, he's got one hell of a personality. He can cut a promo if they would let him. He's one of those guys who you have no idea what kind of personality he has because they don't let him go out there and shine. But he's got, I think he's got the tools.
And other talents love him.
So we get Future Star of the Year, which is Austin Theory. They go backstage for Austin to accept it, and Candice LeRae is saying, share your word with Indy, Austin, which is so funny, like the mom. And then he says that he wants Johnny Gargano to break the curse, and Gargano freaks out because that's a C word. You can't say the C word. He takes the protein shake, the Gargano whey protein, and he throws it accidentally against a mirror, shatters the mirror, so more bad luck, and he gets to Johnny Gargano's main event against Leon Ruff. I really like this because oh God, are they going to screw this guy over again and have him lose to Leon Ruff one more time?
Dude, this is hilarious. Again, I ate my words on Johnny Gargano too, being a heel. I thought he could never pull it off because he's the epitome of babyface. Oh my God, right? But he's killing it. He is killing it, and he's comfortable as hell being in this character. But really quick, do you really think Austin Theory should have won that award? I'm being a complete mark by treating these awards seriously, by the way. I will admit that. But like,
Matt's mad he wasn't on the voting committee.
No, like seriously, like shouldn't come on, that was just our last champion before he got hurt, and now he's back. Come on,
Cross.
Yes, Karrion Kross. Why wouldn't it be him?
I mean, that would have been. Well, Future Star, though, I mean, okay, the people he was up against, just to give you an idea, it was Jake Atlas, Leon Ruff, Casey Catanzaro, Caden Carter, Indy Hartwell, Xia Li, A-Kid. You know, they're not necessarily people who we would all know.
Cross already won a world title.
Yeah,
so he's already a star.
He's a star.
Okay, I would have given it to one of those females you just named because, like, the 2 or 3 of them, I'm like, I would have taken them over Austin Theory in a heartbeat.
So we go to the overall winner of the year. So the overall competitor of the year. So this is men or women, and Io Shirai wins it. So she's won both. Then we
consistency. That's fair. Yeah, she was consistent the whole year.
Exactly. She would be a good choice for that.
Yeah.
Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano. They kind of do a couple of spots where they tease Leon Ruff possibly upsetting Johnny Gargano. They didn't have any entrances for either guy, which actually made it look like a really kind of big title fight. They just went right into the introductions. Yes. Ruff was on top of Johnny Gargano doing kind of like the 10 count punches, but then his face hits a turnbuckle. We get one final beat, and then Johnny Gargano wins the match. So he finally broke the curse, defending his NXT title successfully. Then we get Dexter Lumis. He's drawn a bunch of pictures of all the little matches that we're going to see next week at New Year's Evil, and that's your show.
All right, so really quick, Justin, I don't think we talked about this, or maybe we did. I think we did because you did the show every Wednesday with us. It was the fact I think it's stupid that he's going to be drawing as the booker of the show next week. That's so corny. But really quick, Johnny Gargano, I just want to cap off the match. Thank God he won because he's doing such great work right now. I would not. The title works great with what this family gimmick they're doing together. This is good. I really like it a lot, actually. And it's made me like Austin Theory, who I have not liked at all.
Look, Gargano's hitting out the park as a heel.
And so is Candice.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's
knew she would.
It's crazy to me because again, I always ever knew Johnny Gargano. He was always the Shawn Michaels baby face on the indies in terms of how he worked. And so to see this, it's working. I like it. Candice, it's working.
It's getting the other two over too, I would argue.
Yeah, I'm into this. And to the Dexter Lumis stuff, actually, I think, Alfred, do you know this? I think that's actually Dexter Lumis is actually drawing those. I think he actually is an artist.
He's an actual artist. Those are his work. He's really good.
So that's kind of fun to me. I don't know. So look, I thought this was a good go-home piece of business to try to sell this New Year's Evil again. We already talked about it. They're at a bit of a disadvantage. The wrestling world's talking about this tribute, but I thought they still had to do a wrestling show tonight, and they produced what they produced.
They're going to have one hell of a show next week. That show is can't miss, in my opinion.
$5 super chat, Alejandro Villarreal. It should be a fun match between two great Mexican wrestlers back in Mexico. Both of them were great.
Yes, they were.
All I want is Devlin versus Santos Escobar.
You're right, brother. Yes, they were when they were over there. You're 100% accurate in that statement.
Escobar and Metalik are just going to rip it. I can't wait for that match next week.
Is Metalik, let me ask that same writer, if he watches so much of them when they were over there, you can't possibly think the way Grand Metalik is being treated here was how he was treated over there. It's not even close. Grand Metalik was on his way to a Hall of Fame career over there.
Yeah, and he's treated like just such like an exotic. It's just horrible what they've done to him, but he was a legend, really. I mean, he was on his way to becoming a legend. He can still go back. He's still a pretty young guy, so.
And he will. I mean, he still will. I mean, he will, Wink. Yeah, you're right.
But again, if he and Lince Dorado are in the NXT world, again, it's controlled by Triple H.
Taken serious and being
taken seriously.
Okay.
Again, you put them on Raw or SmackDown. You run the risk of, let's put a sombrero on him.
Wait, what? They like Gerardo? Oh, let's make the stupid ideas that come in his head. Like, where's the person to go? No, terrible idea.
DNA of TNA Morgan fan $5. Hey, bro, Matt and Justin, I have update on Peyton Royce and her push. Vince gave up on her. Good job hiring Alfred, and he's a natural on the live stream.
Thank you, brother.
Hell yeah, he is. Wait. So, is he being honest? Like, was that real news?
I think so. I don't. Well, with the Peyton Royce thing, I think he's being a joke, but I think he's being serious about Alfred.
I hope he's being serious about me. I can use a compliment today.
No, Alfred. No,
hey, Morgan fan. I text Raj for like 6 weeks saying, have you emailed Alfred about getting him on? Have you emailed Alfred about getting? And like finally after like 6 weeks. Oh yeah, I was like, I could have just called Alfred. We could have saved 6 weeks if you just would have let me do this. So
this has been a lot of fun for you guys, though. It's great. I spent Christmas Eve with you guys, and good to be here on the last show of the year with you guys. It's been great, and the fans are great here. So thanks for all the kind words, everybody.
Alfred, do your plug. You write for Forbes. Do your plug. We're getting ready to end it.
Yeah, if you watch me on Forbes, go to Forbes and look at Alfred Konuwa. Follow me on Twitter at This Is Nasty, and watch my pro wrestling YouTube channel, Pro Wrestling Bits.
Matt, plug something. I dare you.
I'm not plugging nothing. I have nothing to plug.
Last show of the year, Matt. Plug something.
I am not in the wrestling world anymore. What do you want me to plug? I'm doing a signing out to VFW Hall. What do you want me to say? No, I'm not.
No.
I'm changing
a few weeks ago, you plugged. Something.
Yes, you're correct. Thrive. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
But I've got to slow down so I can catch up to everybody that's now messaged me for it. I got to catch it. Good Lord. If you've messaged me, I will get back to you, by the way. Do not lose hope, folks. I did not expect so many of you that watched the show to actually really message me all at the same time. So I've got to get back on that with everybody that has messaged me. So if you have messaged me, I apologize. I will get to you. I promise.
Yeah, I mean, I know tonight's show, the
Dude,
peak
so
of the.
many people watch this show.
Well, tonight's
Holy
audience,
shit.
from what I can see on the live metrics, we had a huge audience at the peak of the show tonight. So, I mean,
dude, and they're down for trying new things. A lot of them are trying to get in shape now. Like, we've got really cool fans. We do.
absolutely.
Friends. You're not fans, friends.
And we appreciate all the super chats. We appreciate all the live viewership, all the comments. I know we don't show everybody's comment, but again, the fact that you guys do comment, if you're not paying money for super chat, we still appreciate it. It's very cool. You guys all interact, and this is a community. This week, more than ever, the loss of a Brodie Lee, the ending of a shit year. A community is a very important word to have. So we'll leave it there. I don't really have much more to say. Again, at Justin LaBar. After all the major shows, after Wednesday, after Friday, after Monday, after pay-per-views, right here on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel and all the other social media channels we have, you can watch
Check out
live.
the new Twitch on Wrestling Inc. too.
Twitch, yeah, we're all over the place. So I'm actually, it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. It's great. Friday night, we're back after SmackDown. Probably, I think we're going on Friday.
I'll be back.
Yes, definitely Matt.
Man of podcasting.
Definitely Matt. Definitely Matt. Who else is with him? It'll be a lottery draw.
Glenn.
Probably Glenn. All right, guys. Again, thank you very much. Be nice to one another. Celebrate the New Year's safely, happily.
Yeah.
Let's
Happy
get into
New Year's.
2021. Happy New Year's. It's been a tough 2020, but we've had a great time at least doing this kind of stuff, and we will continue on. So thank you very much. And this is